let's talk about how to use Zelle to transfer money between banks. And here are the opening remarks. So if you've been looking for an easier way to send money to friends and family, be it for paying a friend back for coffee or let's say gifting some cash to a loved ones, then Zelle might be worth considering. Zelle is basically a type of peer-to-peer payment service, so peer-to-peer payment service, similar to other apps such as Venmo and Cash App. And unlike many of these other apps, there is a good chance that Zelle comes with your bank account instead of requiring a third-party app download. Additionally, Zelle payments can be much faster than those sent through other P2P apps, appearing in the recipient's bank account almost instantly with no extra fees. And in most cases, once payment is sent, it cannot be canceled. Okay, so here is how Zelle actually operates and what you should know about Zelle and how to use it for sending payments. So let's first go back to the origins. Zelle 101. What is Zelle? Let's talk about that. Now, when you think about Zelle, Zelle is a peer-to-peer payment service which allows users to send money to each other digitally. So everything happens online. And more than 2,000 banks and credit unions are partnered with Zelle. And for those that are, the service is automatically included with the institution's app. So this is kind of cool in terms of automation. And Zelle works by linking a U.S. checking or savings account and transferring money to another U.S. bank account. Pretty simple, right? So what happens here is that the payer and payee don't need to have accounts at the same financial institution, but they both need to be enrolled with Zelle. So they got to be part of the Zelle ecosystem. And users send money through their bank's app or the Zelle app, and that money is automatically deposited into the recipient's bank account that they have linked to their Zelle accounts. So this is sort of the process here. And payment transfers with Zelle generally happen within minutes and don't incur any fees. Note that Zelle doesn't work with business debit cards, credit cards, international accounts, and gift cards. So Zelle happens only in the States, okay? And some banks may allow businesses to set up a Zelle business account, which can be used for merchant transactions. However, the bank may charge a small fee for businesses using Zelle, and consumers must be enrolled in the service actually to make payments. Otherwise, actually, there are no fees for downloading and using Zelle. So here is the approach here. How do you use Zelle? So Zelle is primarily app-based, so you will need a smartphone to get started. If it's offered through your bank, then Zelle may be available to use through the bank's online portal, but it typically cannot be accessed on a web browser. So it's mostly app-based. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to check whether your bank or credit union offers Zelle. That should be the first step. And there are a couple of ways to find out if your financial institution offers Zelle. If you have downloaded the bank or credit union's mobile app, there should be a designated Zelle tab in the app for those that come with the payment service. So Zelle may also be under the transfers section of the banking app. So you know that, okay, Zelle is actually available with my bank or credit union. And so that's one way. Another way to find out if your financial institution offers Zelle is by basically searching for it in Zelle's online database of those it partners with. So Zelle is pretty good when it comes to publishing, if you will, the institutions it partners with. You can also contact, and this is the third scenario here. You can contact actually your financial institution directly to ask if it offers Zelle. I mean, that's probably the easiest way to find out if they offer Zelle or not. And so how do you get Zelle? Although Zelle is available as a standalone app, as a user, you may not be able to use the standalone app if Zelle is offered through your financial institution. So the financial institution doesn't automatically come with Zelle in its own app. Then you can use the Zelle standalone app by downloading it from Apple or Google Play Store. So that's step number one. Check whether your bank or credit union offers Zelle. Step number two, you want to enroll your email or phone number. So when you first use Zelle through a banking app or the standalone Zelle app, it will require you to enroll either an email address or a phone number or both. That way, other users can verify who they're sending money to. Let's say if you previously enrolled in Zelle at a different bank or credit union and you're no longer with that bank anymore, your email or phone number will need to be removed from that account before it can be used to re-enroll with a new institution. That's really important because Zelle wants to prevent some duplicates. Okay, and so users of the standalone app who don't have access to Zelle through their financial institution will also need to enter their debit card information for the card they would like to make payments from. And remember that everything happens within this country. So the card must be a U.S. issued debit card and not a business card. Okay, it has to be a consumer card, and it has to be issued in this country, not overseas. The third thing you want to do is that you have to choose for whom to send money to and how much. You got to be really clear here because it's one of those things where folks have said if you make a mistake, how easy it is to actually correct. Well, it's better not to make a mistake in the first place. So once you have been enrolled, you'll have the option to send or request money from another Zelle user. And after selecting send or request, add the contact information of the recipient to create a new contact for them, including first name, last name, and email or phone number. So you have to be really clear here because this is how the first name, the last name, the email or phone number are like criteria that Zelle will use to identify the recipient. And also and this is for authentication purposes too. So it's necessary to get the recipient's email or phone number because each Zelle user must enroll with either one of this to verify their identity. And this helps to ensure your money is sent to the right person. Also, when we talk about money, I mean, you have some regulatory protocols to follow, right? The U.S. government is really making sure that people are not using Zelle for other purposes. So for anti-money laundering purposes, they have to verify identity. They have to actually increase their due diligence. Very important. So what you want to do here is that you want to make sure that you double check the recipient's information because if you send money to the wrong person, you likely cannot cancel the payment. The only instance in which payments can be canceled is if the recipient hasn't enrolled yet. So the payment wasn't transferred from your account. So the payment is still in some kind of limbo. Okay, that's the only way you can say, okay, I'm going to cancel the transaction. And so when you have verified and selected a contact, you want to enter the dollar amount of the payment or request, and that's it. So, but again, make sure that the amounts that you are entering are actually like the right amount, the right recipients, because otherwise you'll just be sending money to somebody for free, and you do not want to send that. You do not want to do that anyway, right? That's one thing that you do not want to have. So this is an important element to think about. And one thing I also want to say is that you have to also make sure that you verify everything before you hit the send button. Step number 4. So step number 1, check whether your bank or credit union offers Zelle. Step number 2, enroll your email or phone number. Number 3, choose whom to send money to and how much. And number 4, send the money. Let's talk about how to send the money. Now, you might be thinking, well, this should be pretty easy, but no, it ain't that easy because sending the money actually makes first of all, just make sure that you have enough money in your account because the originating account must have enough money, because if you don't have enough money in that account, the instruction won't go through. The app will ask you to review the transaction details before the money or request is sent. Double check the transaction amount, the recipient's contact info, and the account that your money will be withdrawn from, right? Basically, because the last thing you want is to have some kind of overdraft from your Zelle originating account and pay like $34 extra because your bank is charging you NSF fees. And what we love about Zelle also is that there is also an optional memo or reason text box where users can type in a reason for the payment before sending it. And this is kind of important because if the amounts are really, let's say, colossal, if the amount are huge, you need to justify it. Because like I told you before, when we speak about money transfers, this is a highly regulated process. The U.S. government wants to make sure that, hey, listen, people are not playing games with the system. So this is important. So if all the information is correct, just hit send. Very straightforward. Money sent through Zelle is typically available in the recipient's account within minutes, though if the recipient hasn't enrolled in Zelle yet, it may take a couple of days, and the recipients will need to enroll first to receive the payments. Otherwise, just think about it. Zelle is like a planet, an ecosystem. And if you're not actually a resident of that planet, if you're not a resident of that ecosystem, you cannot benefit from you cannot really enjoy the benefits, right? So the recipient has to enroll first. And by the way, simply enrolling doesn't mean that your account is active automatically. Your account has to be activated. So the recipient's account has to be activated for him or her to receive actually the money that you have sent him. Very important to think about that. So let's talk about the general considerations here. So by the way, those are the 4 steps you need to really go through. Pretty straightforward how to, when it comes to using Zelle to transfer money between banks. But in terms of general considerations, who owns Zelle? Because Zelle is owned by Early Warning Services, a fintech company that develops payment and risk management solutions. And the fintech is in turn owned by 7 of the largest US banks. So you have Bank of America, Capital One, JP Morgan Chase, PNC Bank, Truist, US Bank, and Wells Fargo. So you can see that, and no wonder why transfers are actually made so quickly, because Zelle is actually owned by those big banks. So it is what it is. And which banks use Zelle? Well, the banks that own Zelle are not the only ones that use it. However, there are more than 2,000 banks and credit unions partnered with Zelle to provide the payment service to their customers. So if your bank is one of them, then Zelle will already be included with the bank's app. And so some popular banks that use Zelle are, you have LI Bank, Citizens Bank, Discover Bank, Fifth Third Bank, you have TIA Bank, you have Discover Bank, and you have Capital One Bank. I mean, of course, Capital One will be there anyway because they own part of the pie anyway. So, and some popular credit unions with Zelle are the Bethpage Federal Credit Union, Quorum Federal Credit Union, Schools First Federal Credit Union, Star One Credit Union, ViStar Credit Union. So it's important to always search the database. You have to search Zelle's database to see if your institution is on the list or not. And the cool thing is that even if your institution is not on the list, it's still possible to use Zelle by downloading the Zelle app separately and linking it to a bank account. So you have flexibility there, right? You always are in control. But one thing I want to say here is that what we love about Zelle is the fact that you have an app that's owned by the 7 largest U.S. banks. That tells you a lot about the level of quality, the level of reliability, the level of trust that the app gets from those institutions right off the bat. So let's talk about safety here. Is Zelle safe? I think I've answered that question directly or indirectly in the last 5 minutes. So if you think about Zelle, I can assure you that Zelle is safe. Zelle is considered a safe option for sending and receiving money, especially in this country, because Zelle is actually has been confined to the parameters of the US parameters. So you will not have to worry about money getting lost or stolen in the mail, bypassing the risk that comes with sending cash or checks. Zelle transfers, like other P2P payment services, are protected by data encryption. So if the service is used through a bank app, there's also the added protection of MFA, so multi-factor authentication, and also alerts for suspicious activity that the bank's app may provide, because all major US banks and credit unions have this level of safety embedded in their mobile protocols. And so there's always a small risk, that's for sure, when supplying fintech apps with your personal information. So Zelle acknowledges that it collects and shares personal information with third parties for research and analytic purposes. So Consumer Action, a nonprofit organization that advocates for consumer rights, recommends some extra step you can take to reduce the risk of this information ending up in the wrong hands, right? Because the last thing you want is people actually barraging you with pre-screened credit card offers or insurance offers, whatever. You don't want that. So you want to opt in for security notifications from the bank or from Zelle. You want to monitor your accounts for any suspicious activity. And you want to send money only to people you know and trust. Very important, because scammers may sometimes call consumers pretending to be their bank and then use the consumer's bank information to make a Zelle transfer out of the account. It's unlikely that an actual financial institution will call you and ask for personal information. It'll never happen. It will never happen either. Only share personal information if you have verified the financial institution is legit by calling the official number on its website or on the back of your debit card, right? So if you believe, and this is an important element, if you believe you are the victim of an imposter scam using Zelle through a mobile banking app, Zelle recommends reaching out to your bank's or credit union's customer support group, and this is really important. Let's talk about the pros and cons of Zelle before closing today's conversation. So I want to talk to you first about the advantages of Zelle and then the disadvantages. So advantages, Zelle makes it very easy to transfer and receive money from friends and family. You get your cash real fast. Zelle is kind of similar to similar to Western Union or MoneyGram back in the days. I mean, they still are around, but Zelle is faster, okay? But yeah, and the cool thing is you don't have to go to an office, fill out a paperwork, whatever. No. Through Zelle, everything happens electronically. And another advantage is that most participating banks embed Zelle access right within their own app, so you don't need to download another app to use it, okay? So everything is native. It's native embedding. That's really good. And Zelle makes transfers secure by using authentication and monitoring features. Remember, I told you before that Zelle originated from the 7 major banks themselves. So right off the bat, the level of trust and safety and security is already high. Okay. What about some of the drawbacks here? When we think about Zelle, there's always a small risk when extending your personal information to another platform. That's for sure. If you're not careful, you may accidentally send money to the wrong person, and Zelle payments are, unfortunately, as of now, irreversible. So this could be a little problem. And unlike credit cards, Zelle doesn't have purchase protection. And this is another thing. But the bottom line here is that Zelle can be a great option for sending money to another person's bank account, even if they have an account with a different financial institution. It's actually offered through many banks and credit unions and comes with no fees. So that's the good thing we love a lot. And as an alternative to sending cash or a check in the mail, Zelle is faster, protected by online encryption, and can be done with just a few steps through your phone, right? But before I close today's conversation, though, please always make sure, and this is a biggie, always make sure you know who you're sending money to by checking the recipient's contact information and monitor your account activity for any unauthorized Zelle payments. And if you take a few simple precautions, you won't have to worry about personal information being compromised in the future anyway. So here are our closing arguments. In today's conversation, I explained to you how to use Zelle to transfer money between banks. I gave you the opening remarks, the approach, the general considerations, and the closing arguments. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.